He never saw it coming. That moment when the world would tilt on its axis and the woman he once called worthless would stand bathed in a light so brilliant it would blind him to his own insignificance. Move aside, you pathetic waste of space. The words cut through the bustling shopping center like a blade through silk. Shoppers froze mid-step, their conversations dying on their lips as they turned toward the source of the cruelty. A man stood there tall, arrogant, his designer clothes draping his frame like armor spewing venom at a woman who simply stood there, unmoving, unflinching. Jared Miller had always been loud. Loud in his success, louder in his contempt, loudest in his treatment of the woman he discarded 3 years ago. He expected her to crumble, expected tears, expected her to scurry away like a wounded animal, but Alara Hart didn't stumble. Not anymore. She stood rooted to the polished marble floor, her spine a steel rod, her expression a calm lake reflecting nothing of the storm raging inside him. The secret she carried wasn't just hers, it was a fortress. And the man waiting for her beyond these walls wasn't just wealthy. He was the kind of wealthy that made small towns like this one tremble. 3 minutes later, a matte black Maybach with tinted windows glided to the curb outside. The doors opened with silent precision, and 3 figures emerged impeccably tailored, moving with the coordinated grace of wolves who'd never known defeat. The whispers began immediately, rippling through the crowd like wildfire, because the men in those suits didn't look at anyone but her. This is the story of how cruelty met its match, of how arrogance crumbled before quiet dignity, of how the ultimate reversal of power doesn't come with a roar, but with the softest whisper of truth. What do you think crossed Jared's mind the moment he realized who she had become? Welcome back, dear listeners. Before we dive into this journey, I have a small request that carries great weight. Please, if this story moves you, hit that subscribe button. Your support is the lifeblood that keeps these narratives flowing, stories of voices that would otherwise fade into silence, tales that need to be heard. In the comments, share where you're listening from, because together, we're not just sharing stories, we're keeping hope alive in a world that often tries to extinguish it. Alara stepped off the Greyhound with the kind of quiet that comes from learning how to become invisible. No one in the town of Willow Creek expected her return, and if they had, they would have expected the same shattered girl who fled 3 years prior with nothing but 2 frayed duffel bags and a heart fractured by betrayal so profound it had become a part of her skeletal structure. Let them keep believing that. It made everything easier. The fewer people who knew the truth, the safer her hard-won peace remained. She pulled her wool coat tighter against the autumn chill and began walking down Elm Avenue. Nothing had changed. The same cracked concrete sidewalks, the same diners where judgment pressed against window panes like fog, the same memory of how she used to walk these streets with tears streaming down her face because Jared told her she was an embarrassment. Now she walked with her chin parallel to the ground, measured, careful not to attract attention. She didn't want to see familiar faces yet. She wanted one day, just one, to simply breathe. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. A simple message from Damien. Arrived safely? She smiled despite herself, the corners of her mouth lifting before she could suppress them. Yes, all good. Will call soon, he replied with a small heart emoji. Nothing dramatic, just how he communicated with her. Always gentle, never pushing, never demanding. He let her decide when the world would learn she was now Mrs. Damien Ashford. No one here even knew she was married. No one knew her life had transformed in ways they couldn't imagine. And for now, that's exactly how she wanted it. She reached her mother's Victorian house before she felt ready. The porch light flickered its familiar, unreliable glow. The doorbell stuck in its housing the same way it had when she was 18. Some things refused to be repaired. She lifted her hand to knock. The door swung open before her knuckles made contact. Alara, Chloe's voice stretched into a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Wow, you actually came. Alara forced a gentle smile. Hi, Chloe. Chloe pulled her into an embrace that felt like being trapped in a coat you'd outgrown years ago. Mom's inside. She's been waiting. Then she leaned back, scanning Elara's simple jeans and cashmere sweater with a single cutting sweep. You traveled light. Guess some things never change. There it was, the first jab, barely concealed. Elara let it slide off her like water. She'd learned long ago not to wrestle with Chloe's pettiness. Her sister thrived on reactions. Elara refused to be her sustenance. Inside, her mother stood at the kitchen counter, hands buried in dough for a pie that would never taste like home. Hannah looked older than Elara remembered, though her posture remained as rigid as ever. She turned at the sound of footsteps, wiping flour on her apron. Oh, Elara. Her smile was tired, uncertain. You made it. I did. Elara stepped closer. How are you, Mom? Hannah hugged her, but lightly warmth without weight. You should have called ahead. I would have prepared something special. I didn't want to be a bother, Elara answered. Chloe snorted from the doorway. You don't say. Elara's jaw tightened. But she didn't take the bait. Not yet. Dinner felt like sitting on a frozen pond, every sentence a crack spidering across the surface. Her mother asked vague questions about where she'd been, what she'd been doing, who she'd become. Chloe didn't even pretend discretion. Every pause Elara took, Chloe leaned forward, waiting for a fissure she could pry open. So, you're back for good? Chloe asked, stabbing her salad like it had personally offended her. Or is this another one of your phases? I'm not here to discuss phases, Elara said quietly. Chloe chuckled. Right, of course. You always hated being honest about your disasters. Hannah sighed. Chloe, please, what? I'm asking a question. Elara set her fork down with deliberate calm. I came home to visit. That's all, Chloe repeated. You vanished for 3 years. No calls, no real updates. And now, you waltz in saying you're here to visit like we're distant cousins. Come on. Her smile sharpened. What really happened? Things fall apart again. Elara felt the old familiar heat building beneath her ribs, the heat she used to mistake for shame. Now she recognized it as fury she'd learned to contain. I'm fine, she said. Better than fine. Chloe's eyes narrowed. She didn't like answers she couldn't control. Sure, I guess fine is what broken looks like these days. Hannah reached out as if to intervene, but Chloe raised a hand. Mom, let's not pretend. Elara doesn't have much to her name. She's not working with a full deck right now. It's okay to admit it. We're family. Elara kept her voice level. What makes you think I'm struggling? Chloe blinked. Well, aren't you? She said it with a laugh, as if the idea of Elara possessing anything more was absurd. Elara almost wanted to tell her. Almost. But she kept the truth tucked deep. She'd reveal it when she chose, not when baited. The conversation shifted, but the tension remained. A third guest at the table no one acknowledged. Hannah brought out dessert, trying to smooth the edges, but Chloe kept circling, a shark scenting blood. After dinner, Elara excused herself to step outside for air. That's when she heard it, Chloe's voice drifting from the kitchen window. Sharp and conspiratorial, she came back empty-handed. Chloe whispered. I told you she would. She's still desperate, still directionless. She'll be easy to manipulate again. Elara froze, eyes lowering as each word sank like stones in water. Then, Jared's voice came next, low but unmistakable. Good, that's what I need. If she's desperate, she'll accept whatever help I offer. Elara's stomach twisted into knots. Jared was inside the house. Chloe had let him in. They were discussing her like she was a project, a tool to be utilized. Chloe laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Just play along. She trusts too easily. She still sees good in you. It's pathetic, honestly. Jared scoffed. She should. I took care of her for years. Elara pressed a hand to the wall, steadying herself. Chloe lowered her voice even more. And you'll get another chance now that she's alone again. Jared sighed. Maybe. Depends on how much she hates me for before. Oh please, Chloe said. She still wants you. She's always wanted you. She'll take whatever scraps you throw at her. Ilara shut her eyes not from tears, but from the sharp sting of recognition. Chloe had stayed in contact with him all these years. The same Jared who humiliated her, cheated on her, painted her as unstable. The same Jared she thought she'd excised from her life like a tumor. She stepped back, careful not to make a sound. She didn't want to walk in there and show them how deeply they'd wounded her. Didn't want them to see how profoundly they'd underestimated the woman she'd become. No, she thought. Not this time. She slipped off the porch and walked toward the sidewalk, needing a moment to think, to breathe. The air felt heavier now, thick with the weight of revelation. Everything inside that house made sense in a way she wished it didn't. The way her mother avoided eye contact, Chloe's razor-sharp interest, the casual confidence with which they spoke for her, about her, against her. None of them knew she was married. None of them knew the life she'd built on the ashes of the one they'd helped burn. They still pictured her as the girl Jared broke. Ilara walked until she reached the local market, the same one she'd frequented after bad days, after worse nights. She paused near the entrance, letting her heartbeat settle. Her phone buzzed. Again. Damien. Thinking of you. Everything okay? She typed back. Just family things. Nothing new, he replied. Call if you need me. I mean it, she smiled faintly. I know. She slipped the phone into her pocket and stepped inside. She needed water, maybe something sweet. She didn't need the pass pressing in from all sides. She grabbed a bottle and moved toward the checkout line. People shuffled around her chatting about sales, children tugging sleeves, a couple arguing quietly over coupons, normal things, stable things. Then she heard it, a familiar laugh, confident, mocking, too loud for the space. Jared, he rounded the corner of the aisle, phone pressed to his ear, smile wide. He didn't see her yet. He was talking to someone, bragging about something small and stupid, the kind of conversation he always had when he wanted an audience. She wanted to walk the other way, but she froze for just a second, long enough for him to turn and spot her. Everything in his face changed. Surprise, first, then smug satisfaction. Well, look what the breeze blew back in. He hung up without saying goodbye and walked toward her with a swagger that made other shoppers glance up. Ilara kept her face calm. She didn't want this scene. Not here. Not with strangers watching. Jared stopped right in front of her. Didn't expect to see you walking around like everything's normal. Figured you'd be hiding at your mom's. She said nothing. He smirked. What's the matter? No comeback today? He stepped closer. Too close. Still soft, huh? That's your problem. Still soft. Still weak. Ilara reached for the space between them, trying to move aside, but he shoved her shoulder, not hard enough to knock her down, just enough to humiliate her. Get out of my way, you useless fool. You're nothing. Heads turned. Someone gasped. A cashier paused mid-scan. A little boy stared wide-eyed at the man who seemed proud of his own cruelty. Jared chuckled, shaking his head like she was a joke. You still walk around like you're worth something. It's cute. The shoppers nearby slowed their steps. Jared stepped closer, lowering his voice but not his hostility. You think you're somebody? You're not. You never were. You walked out on the only people who ever tolerated you. You made yourself look that way, she said, quiet but sharp. His eyes darkened. You still have that attitude. No wonder everyone gave up on you. A few people nearby stopped completely. Jared stepped closer, his voice dropping further. You know what your sister told me earlier? She said you came back broke and desperate. Said you have nowhere else to go. You should. I took care of you for years. Ilara pressed a hand to the wall, steadying herself. Chloe lowered her voice even more. And you'll get another chance now that she's alone again. Jared sighed. Maybe. Depends on how much she hates me for before. Oh please, Chloe said. She still wants you. She's always wanted you. She'll take whatever scraps you give her. Ilara shut her eyes, not from tears, but from the sharp sting of recognition. Chloe had stayed in contact with him all these years. The same Jared who humiliated her, cheated on her, painted her as unstable. The same Jared she thought she'd excised from her life like a tumor. She stepped back, careful not to make a sound. She didn't want to walk in there and show them how deeply they'd wounded her. Didn't want them to see how profoundly they'd underestimated the woman she'd become. No, she thought. Not this time. She slipped off the porch and walked toward the sidewalk, needing a moment to think, to breathe. The air felt heavier now, thick with the weight of revelation. Everything inside that house made sense in a way she wished it didn't. The way her mother avoided eye contact, Chloe's razor-sharp interest, the casual confidence with which they spoke for her, about her, against her. None of them knew she was married. None of them knew the life she'd built on the ashes of the one they'd helped burn. They still pictured her as the girl Jared broke. Ilara walked until she reached the local market, the same one she'd frequented after bad days, after worse nights. She paused near the entrance, letting her heartbeat settle. Her phone buzzed. Again. Damien. Thinking of you. Everything okay? She typed back. Just family things. Nothing new, he replied. Call if you need me. I mean it, she smiled faintly. I know. She slipped the phone into her pocket and stepped inside. She needed water. Maybe something sweet. She didn't need the pass pressing in from all sides. She grabbed a bottle and moved toward the checkout line. People shuffled around her chatting about sales, children tugging sleeves, a couple arguing quietly over coupons, normal things. Stable things. Then she heard it, a familiar laugh, confident, mocking, too loud for the space. Jared, he rounded the corner of the aisle, phone pressed to his ear, smile wide. He didn't see her yet. He was talking to someone, bragging about something small and stupid, the kind of conversation he always had when he wanted an audience. She wanted to walk the other way, but she froze for just a second, long enough for him to turn and spot her. Everything in his face changed. Surprise, first, then smug satisfaction. Well, look what the breeze blew back in. He hung up without saying goodbye and walked toward her with a swagger that made other shoppers glance up. Ilara kept her face calm. She didn't want this scene. Not here. Not with strangers watching. Jared stopped right in front of her. Didn't expect to see you walking around like everything's normal. Figured you'd be hiding at your mom's. She said nothing. He smirked. What's the matter? No come back today? He stepped closer. Too close. Still soft, huh? That's your problem. Still soft. Still weak. Ilara reached for the space between them, trying to move aside, but he shoved her shoulder, not hard enough to knock her down, just enough to humiliate her. Get out of my way, you useless fool. You're nothing. Heads turned. Someone gasped. A cashier paused mid-scan. A little boy stared wide-eyed at the man who seemed proud of his own cruelty. Jared chuckled, shaking his head like she was a joke. You still walk around like you're worth something. It's cute. Ilara straightened, her voice low and steady. I don't need to protect myself from you. Oh, yes you do, he said. You always will. She met his eyes with a calm he didn't expect. Not anymore. Something shifted in his expression. He didn't like that. He liked her scared, quiet, apologizing for things that weren't her fault. He opened his mouth to deliver another insult, but the sound of tires screeching outside the glass doors cut him off. People turned. A black Maybach rolled to a stop at the curb, not flashy, but commanding, expensive without trying. The kind of vehicle that didn't belong in Willow Creek. Jared frowned. What the hell? The doors opened. Men in tailored suits stepped out, 3 of them. They moved with purpose, each step confident, controlled, powerful in a way that caught attention instantly. They weren't mall security. They weren't local police. They belonged to a world far above anything inside this building. A hush fell through the space. Even the teenagers who'd been laughing at the scene fell silent. The men didn't look at anyone except Ilara. Jared followed their gaze and slowly turned to stare at her. Ilara kept her face calm, though her heart thudded once, hard. She hadn't expected Damien to send anyone. She'd told him she was fine, But he must have heard something in her earlier messages, something she hadn't written. The men approached the entrance. The automatic doors slid open. Their polished shoes echoed across the marble floor. Every head turned. One of them stopped a few feet from Elara and bowed his head slightly in respect. "Mrs. Ashford," he said clearly, loud enough for everyone around to hear. "We've come to escort you." Jared's face drained of color. Chloe, who had just walked in from the parking lot, froze in place. Hannah, behind her, clutched her purse like it might steady her. Elara stayed still for a moment, letting the silence stretch, letting the truth settle in the air around all of them. Then, she exhaled once and looked straight at Jared. "My husband is waiting." Jared's mouth dropped open. Chloe's eyes widened. The entire shopping center seemed to hold its breath. "If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to join our community. Through these stories, we build hope and give voice to those who've been silenced." Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a narrative that matters. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and how the story speaks to you. People whispered Damien's name before he even stepped inside. They didn't know who he was, but they felt it. His presence moved through the shopping center, like a quiet shift in pressure, the kind that made strangers straighten their backs and lower their voices. Damien walked in with measured steps. Nothing rushed, nothing theatrical. His eyes went straight to Elara. He didn't look at the crowd or Jared or anyone else, only her. Elara felt her breath loosen the second he reached her side. He touched her arm gently, checking her without making a scene. "Are you all right?" he asked in a voice that carried quiet authority. She nodded. "I'm fine." He studied her face for a moment, then looked at Jared, who tried to stand tall but failed. Damien's expression didn't change. There was no anger, no shouting, nothing loud, just a quiet intensity that felt colder than rage. "What happened?" Damien asked Elara. Before she could speak, Jared forced a laugh. "This is all a misunderstanding. I didn't know she..." "Well, I didn't know she had company." Damien didn't even glance at him. "Elara, he shoved me," she said, calm and simple. Jared stiffened. "It wasn't like that," he said quickly, words tripping over themselves. "She was in the way. The place was crowded and she took it wrong." Damien's jaw didn't move, but his eyes sharpened. It was enough to make the teenagers near them step back. "If you put your hands on her," Damien said quietly, "even once, that is enough." Jared swallowed hard. "You've got it wrong." Elara didn't add anything. Her silence cornered him more than any words could have. Damien let the tension sit for a moment before turning to Elara again. "Do you want to go home?" "Please," she whispered. He nodded once. His men closed in smoothly, creating a space around the two of them. The crowd parted like water. Jared watched with rising panic. He stepped forward. "Wait, Elara, did you tell him anything? I mean, about us, about the past?" Elara looked at him without blinking. She didn't answer. That silence rattled him. His face twitched, confidence slipping. "You didn't tell him, right? You wouldn't twist it. You know how things went between us." Damien lifted his head slightly. That was enough for his men to step between Jared and Elara with an unspoken warning. Elara leaned closer to Damien and said softly, "Let's go." He placed his hand lightly on her back, guiding her out. Jared stood frozen, mouth open like he needed to justify himself before the world collapsed beneath him. Chloe and Hannah hurried toward Elara from across the parking lot. Chloe's voice cracked. "Elara, wait, we need to talk. We didn't know. You should have told us." But Elara kept walking. Damien didn't look at them. His silence stung worse than any harsh word. As they stepped outside toward the Maybach, Chloe grabbed Hannah's arm so tight that Hannah gasped. "She's lying," Chloe whispered. "She has to be lying. There's no way she married a man like that." Hannah stared, shaken. "Chloe, please." "No," Chloe hissed. "Did you see those men? They called her Mrs. Ashford. That can't be true. Elara, married to someone like him. She must have tricked him or something." "She wouldn't," Hannah whispered, but the doubt was there. Chloe pulled out her phone. If she won't tell us the truth, we'll find it another way. I know someone who works with a journalist. They'll dig until something cracks. Hannah looked horrified. Chloe, that's too far. Not if she's lying, Chloe said. And honestly, I bet she is. Lara didn't hear any of it. She slid into the back seat of the car beside Damien. The door closed. The chaos stayed outside. For a moment, she didn't speak. She felt the sting of Jared's shove still on her skin, but the deeper ache came from what she'd overheard earlier, the way her family still sided with him, the way they talked about her like she couldn't stand without someone holding her up. Damien reached for her hand gently. You don't need to talk about anything until you're ready. She leaned back, letting her head rest against the cool leather. He hasn't changed. Not at all. No, Damien agreed. Men like him rarely do. His voice held no judgment, only observation.
Lara let her shoulders relax for the first time all evening. The driver pulled away from the curb and the shopping center disappeared behind them. After a few minutes of silence, Damien looked at her again. Lara, that wasn't the first time he behaved like this, was it? She knew what he was really asking. She shook her head. He treated me badly for years. But back then, everyone believed him. Even my own family. Damien's eyes softened. And now? She gave a sad smile. Now they still believe him. Damien didn't respond right away. He watched her for a long moment, then said in a low voice, I'm sorry you went through that alone. It's different now, she said. I'm not alone anymore. His hand tightened around hers for a brief second. It said more than any speech could. When they reached her mother's house, Damien got out with her. Chloe and Hannah stood on the porch waiting, both pale, both trying to look composed. Chloe stepped forward with forced confidence. We didn't know you were with someone, she said, trying to smile at Damien. This is unexpected. Damien nodded politely. Lara needed support tonight. I'm glad I could come. Chloe blinked, clearly thrown off by how normal and calm he seemed. She'd expected arrogance or distance or some cold billionaire stereotype. She didn't know what to do with a man who spoke gently without diminishing his power. Hannah stepped closer. We're glad she has someone, she said, but her voice wavered. Lara looked between them, reading every twitch, every swallowed word. Chloe was planning something. Hannah was torn, but tilting toward Chloe's influence as always. Damien sensed their discomfort and kept his hand lightly at the small of Lara's back. Not possessive, simply supportive. It changed the entire tone of the porch. Chloe's eyes flicked down to where his hand rested. Something sharp flashed through her expression, jealousy, maybe, or resentment. Something ugly. Damien gave Lara one last look, brushing his thumb across her knuckles. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I will, she said softly. He kissed her forehead, simple, intimate, then stepped back and let his men open the car door. Chloe's mouth dropped slightly at the gesture. Hannah's hand trembled near her chest. The car drove off, leaving the three women in uneasy silence. Chloe broke first. Okay, Lara, you expect us to believe that man is your husband? Lara walked past her toward the door. Believe what you want. That's not an answer, Chloe snapped, following her inside. How did you meet him? When did you get married? Why didn't you tell us? Because it wasn't your business, Lara said quietly. Hannah closed the door behind them. Lara, this is sudden. Damien seems very, well, successful. He is, Lara said, not turning around. Chloe scoffed. So, what did you do? Trick him? Hide your past? Lie about who you were? Lara stopped and turned just enough to look at her. No, I didn't lie about anything. He knows everything about me. Chloe's jaw clenched like that ruined her entire argument. You expect the world to accept this when you've always needed help from everyone? Come on. What did you tell him to get him to marry you? Lara stared at her with a calm that unnerved Chloe. Nothing, she said. I didn't chase him. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't pretend. He chose me. Chloe's face twitched with something dark. Hannah tried to soothe the tension. Lara, sweetheart, we're just trying to make sense of things. We want to know the truth. You want control, Lara said softly. Not truth. After Alara went to her room, Chloe pulled Hannah into the kitchen. "She's hiding something," Chloe hissed. "You saw how calm she was. She's lying about him. She's hiding something big." Hannah pressed her hands together. "Chloe, stop." She seemed happy. "That's the problem," Chloe whispered. "Alara has never been happy." "Not really. Something's off. I'm calling Morgan. She'll connect us with a reporter. They can dig into Alara's marriage. If she's lying or hiding something, we'll know." Hannah shook her head weakly. "Chloe, please. She's your sister. She's dangerous when she hides things," Chloe said. Alara didn't hear any of that. She sat on the edge of the guest room bed with the lamp turned low, holding her phone as Damien's name appeared on the screen. "You didn't tell me everything, did you?" Alara swallowed. Asterisk about what? "About him, asterisk." She blinked. "What about him?" Damien hesitated, then sent another message. Asterisk, "He once pitched a proposal to my company. A very dishonest one. He was blacklisted for it, asterisk." Alara's heart dropped. Asterisk, "Jared? What was the proposal, asterisk?" Damien replied, asterisk, "He was trying to use someone's name to get access. He never said who." "I think I know now, asterisk." Alara stared at the message. Jared hadn't come back into her life for closure. He wanted access to her husband's world. And Chloe. Chloe had helped him. Her chest tightened. The walls felt too close. Everything from her past was reaching for her again, even though she'd climbed out. And the worst part was knowing this wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. Alara barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jared's smirk, Chloe's suspicious stare, Damien's worried message. By sunrise, she felt the weight of everything pressing down again. She got up, washed her face, tried to steady her breathing. She stepped into the kitchen, hoping for quiet, but Chloe was already there, scrolling her phone with a grin too satisfied for this early hour. Hannah sat at the table stirring tea without drinking it. Chloe looked up. "Morning," she said with fake sweetness. "Sleep well." "Fine," Alara said, brushing past her. Chloe leaned her elbows on the counter. "You know, it's interesting. I searched Damien last night. Your husband is basically a ghost. Rich, private, barely any photos. Almost like he's too good to be true." Alara kept her back to her. "He values privacy." "Convenient," Chloe said. Hannah tried to calm her. "Chloe." "No," Chloe said, eyes locked on Alara. "If Alara wants to run around claiming she's married to some billionaire, shouldn't she be able to prove it?" Alara turned slowly. "I don't have to prove anything to you." Chloe smirked. "Then you won't mind when other people start asking questions." Hannah finally spoke. "Chloe, enough." Alara didn't stay to hear more. She walked out of the house and took a long breath on the porch. Her phone buzzed in her hand. "Alara, are you all right?" She answered honestly. "Not really." "Want me to come get you?" She closed her eyes. "No, not yet." He paused before replying. "Then tell me what you need." Alara wished she knew. Everything felt tangled. She started walking to clear her head. The morning air helped, but her thoughts stayed messy. She reached the cafe she used to frequent when life felt overwhelming. It still smelled the same, coffee and comfort. It still felt like a hiding place. She ordered a drink and found a quiet corner. As she sat, a voice startled her. "Alara." She looked up. Morgan, an old coworker from years ago, someone who used to sit with her on lunch breaks and complain about Jared's ego before Alara realized how deep his betrayals ran. "Morgan," Alara said softly. Morgan hugged her tight. "I heard you were back. How have you been?" "Wait, no, let me guess. Jared already made your life hell again." Alara gave a tired smile. "Something like that." Morgan sat across from her. "He hasn't changed. Actually, he's worse now. Thinks he's some business genius. Brags about his past like he's proud of it." Alara's stomach tightened. "What exactly does he brag about?" Morgan leaned closer. "You." Alara froze. Morgan sighed. "Look, I didn't know how to tell you back then, and you were already dealing with too much, but Jared used to brag about cheating on you long before you found out. He told people you were practice until he found someone with real value." Alara went still, her fingers tightening around her cup. Morgan reached out. I'm sorry. He talked like he owned you. It was awful. Alara swallowed, fighting the quiet ache in her chest. She thought she'd grown past the hurt, but hearing the truth spoken aloud still cut deep. Thank you for telling me, Alara said softly. Of course, Morgan hesitated. Are you okay? Need anything? Alara forced a small smile. I'll be fine. But she wasn't. Not yet. She left the cafe and stepped outside, letting the cold air hit her face. She wanted to call Damien to hear his voice steady her, but something resisted. She needed to gather her own strength before leaning on his. She walked down the street slowly, thinking things through. Jared cheated on her long before their breakup. He bragged about it. He talked about her like she was nothing. And now he'd come back into her life pretending he cared, pretending he wanted closure. But he didn't want closure. He wanted access. Damien had confirmed it last night. Jared had tried to use someone's identity to get into Sterling Enterprises, and the timing matched when he started calling Alara again. Jared didn't want her. He wanted her connection. Alara felt anger rise for the first time in years. Not sadness, not fear, anger. Controlled and clear. Her phone chimed. She checked the message. It wasn't from Damien. It was a news alert. The headline punched her in the chest. Asterisk, local woman allegedly manipulates reclusive CEO into sudden marriage. Sources claim troubled past and financial motives. Asterisk. Alara's hands shook. She opened the article. Photos of her from the shopping center. Pictures of Damien cropped to make him look distant and cold. Quotes from unnamed sources saying she had a history of unstable behavior and clingy tendencies. Someone had fed them lies. Someone close. Her heart pounded. She called Damien. He picked up on the first ring. Alara, did you see it? She whispered, yes. His voice was steady. We can shut this down. I'll make a statement right now. No, Alara said. Wait. I want to see how far this goes. I want to see who else turns on me. Damien exhaled slowly. Alara, don't let this hurt you. It already does, she said. But I need to know the truth. There was a long pause. I'm here. Whatever you decide, I'm here. She hung up and wiped her eyes before tears could form. When she returned to her mother's house, Chloe and Hannah were in the living room. Chloe jumped when she saw her. Alara? Oh, wow. So, that article? That's crazy. We had nothing to do with it. Hannah nodded fast. Nothing at all. Alara stared at them, reading every flicker of guilt. I see. Chloe forced a laugh. I mean, how would they even know anything about you? You haven't been around in years. Hannah wrung her hands. Maybe someone saw you with that man and made assumptions. Alara kept her voice soft. Maybe. Chloe's eyes darted to her phone. Well, anyway, we're here for you. Always. Alara didn't answer. She turned and went to her room. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number. No words, just a photo. Alara's breath caught. It was Jared and Chloe. Not from today, old. Jared's arm around Chloe. Chloe leaning into him, his hand on her waist, her smile soft and secret, their heads close. Too close. The truth hit like ice. Jared hadn't cheated on her with strangers. He'd cheated with Chloe. And Chloe hadn't just betrayed her now. She'd betrayed her from the beginning. The betrayal wasn't new. It wasn't recent. It wasn't accidental. It had started before Alara even knew she was losing them. Alara stared at the photo, her breath gone, the room spinning. Then another message came, a text attached to the photo. Asterisk, you should have known. They always chose each other over you. Asterisk. Alara didn't remember opening the living room door. She only remembered the photo in her hand, the way her fingers trembled, the heat rising up her neck as she stared at Chloe sitting on the couch like nothing had ever happened. We need to talk, Alara said, her voice low and steady. Chloe looked up with mild annoyance, not guilt. About what now? Alara held the phone out. The photo glowed bright between them. Explain this. Hannah leaned closer, squinting. Is that you and Jared? Chloe's expression didn't flicker the way an innocent person's would. Instead, her jaw tightened and her eyes hardened. She looked cornered, but arrogant enough to pretend she wasn't. "Where did you get that?" Chloe asked sharply. "It doesn't matter," Alara said. "Explain why you were with him like that." "During the time I was with him." Chloe scoffed. "Oh, please. It's an old picture." "That's your explanation?" Alara's voice cracked, not loud, but sharp. "You were cheating with him while he was with me." Chloe crossed her arms. "You pushed him to cheat." Alara blinked. "What?" Hannah stood slowly, anxiety building in her posture. "Girls, maybe we should calm down." "No," Chloe snapped. "She wants the truth." "Fine. Jared and I got close because you were impossible to deal with. You cried. You accused him of cheating all the time. You smothered him. What did you expect him to do?" Alara stared at her. "Not betray me with my own sister." Chloe lifted her chin. "He needed someone stable." Alara felt something inside her crack. "You were with him while telling me he was loyal." "You were too dramatic to hear the truth," Chloe said. Alara turned to Hannah, desperate for one person to see reality. "Mom, you didn't know about this?" Hannah rubbed her forehead. I thought they were just friends." "You believed her?" Alara whispered. Hannah didn't answer. That was answer enough. Alara inhaled sharply. "Jared didn't cheat because I pushed him. He cheated because he wanted to. And you helped him." "You're not a victim," Chloe said. "Stop acting like one." Alara's hand shook around the phone. "I'm not acting. I'm reacting." "Here we go again." Chloe rolled her eyes. "Same old Alara. Everything hurts you. Everything is betrayal. Maybe look at what you did to drive people away." Alara didn't know how she was still standing, but she forced her voice to stay level. "I loved you. Both of you. And you chose him over me." Chloe didn't deny it. She didn't even soften. Hannah stepped closer, voice trembling. "Alara, sweetheart, you have to understand. Jared told us things. He said you were unstable. He said he didn't feel safe. He told us you needed space." "What things?" Alara asked. Hannah's eyes dropped. "He said you had angry episodes. That you threatened him. That he was scared of you." Alara stumbled back. "You believe that?" "He was so convincing," Hannah said quietly. "He said he needed help and he offered money to keep the peace." Alara froze. "Money?" Hannah's silence was confirmation. Alara's voice broke. "He paid you to stay away from me." Hannah whispered, "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that," Alara said. "He bought your loyalty." Chloe stepped in front of Hannah like a shield. "You weren't stable back then, Alara. Jared said he needed protection from you." Alara laughed once, hollow. "And you needed the money." Chloe's face reddened. "We did what we had to." "No," Alara said. "You did what benefited you." She felt dizzy, like the floor had dropped 2 feet and kept dropping. The betrayal wasn't a moment. It was a history. A pattern. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Another strike. A video this time. She tapped it before she could think. Alara saw herself on the screen younger, crying, begging Jared to tell her the truth about where he'd been. Her voice trembled, her hands shook, her chest heaved. Jared had filmed her without her knowing. The caption read, *, she's been unstable for years. Her husband deserves the truth, *. Alara's stomach twisted. She felt like she was watching a younger version of herself drown, and the world was dragging her down again. "Oh, that's not a good look, Alara," Chloe leaned forward. Alara turned, horrified. "You knew he recorded me." "I didn't tell him to," Chloe said. "But honestly, you look exactly how you acted. Overdramatic." Hannah whispered, "Alara, this is not helping your image." "My image?" Alara asked. "Is that all you care about?" Her phone vibrated again, a flood of notifications, comments, shares, mocking words from strangers. She closed everything. She couldn't breathe. She walked out the door without looking back. Chloe called after her, but Alara didn't hear the words. She just walked until the street was quiet enough for her thoughts to catch up. Her phone buzzed. "Damien. Alara, where are you? I saw the video, *. She swallowed hard. "I need time." She sat on a curb and put her face in her hands. She wasn't crying. Not yet. She was too numb, too overwhelmed, too hollow. Her phone buzzed again. A new message, this time from an unknown number. Alara clicked it without thinking, and her heart dropped. It was a credit alert. A credit card account opened in her old name years ago. Debt stacked into the thousands. Another account. Another. And another. Alara's heartbeat stumbled. Her identity had been used, not accidentally, not recently. For years. And only one group of people had access to the old documents she'd left behind. Her family. Her breath stuttered. Damien's name appeared again. Alara, what's happening? She typed slowly. Asterisk, I think someone used my identity. There's debt I never opened. Asterisk. Damien replied almost instantly. Asterisk, I can fix this. Say the word. I'll clear everything. Asterisk. No, she whispered to herself. Asterisk, not yet. I need to face it. Asterisk. She meant it. She needed to see exactly how deep the betrayal ran before she let someone else clean it up. She stood, wiped her face, and started toward the house again. She was shaking, but she was done hiding, done letting anyone else speak for her. Inside, she found Hannah whispering to Chloe. Both went silent the moment she stepped in. Alara looked at them with new clarity. Not hope, not love, not longing. Truth. And that truth cut, but it also woke something in her. She walked past them to her room to think, to breathe, to anchor herself before confronting the rest. She needed a moment alone. Her phone buzzed again, a new message from an unknown number. Alara clicked it without thinking, and her heart dropped again. It was a chat screenshot between Chloe and Morgan, her closest friend, her confidant, the one person she thought she could trust. The messages were unmistakable. Asterisk, I'll send everything I know. The tabloid is paying double. She's hiding something. They want all the dirt. Asterisk. Alara stared at the screen until everything blurred. Another betrayal. Not accidental. Intentional. Paid. Her world was shrinking by the second, pulling her into the smallest version of herself. She sat on the edge of the bed, her breath thin, her vision dimming. This wasn't rock bottom yet, but she was close enough to feel the ground crumble. Alara didn't know how long she sat there, staring at the messages from Morgan. Betrayal was beginning to feel like a language she'd been forced to learn fluently. Every person she once trusted had spoken it to her in different ways. Chloe with jealousy. Hannah with fear. Jared with cruelty. Morgan with greed. Her phone buzzed again. Damien. Asterisk Alara, please answer me. I'm worried. Asterisk. She typed slowly. Asterisk, I'm okay. I just need space. Asterisk. He paused. Asterisk, I can come there. Just say yes. Alara wiped her face. Not yet, please. She meant it. She needed to stand on her own 2 feet for at least one moment before leaning on someone else. Maybe for the first time in her life. When she finally walked out of her room, Hannah was waiting in the hallway, eyes anxious, hands wringing together. Alara, your sister's upset. Things got out of hand. Alara didn't slow her steps. I'm not talking about this right now. Hannah followed her. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were confused. We thought Jared needed help. Alara turned, voice low. You chose to believe him more than your own daughter. That wasn't confusion. That was choice. Hannah flinched, but Alara couldn't soften anymore. She was tired of being the only one who bent. Chloe came around the corner holding her phone, cheeks flushed with anger. Are you going to keep blaming us for everything you ruined? Alara met her eyes. You stole my boyfriend, took money from him, called a reporter on me, and opened accounts in my name. I didn't ruin anything. I just finally saw the truth. Chloe's lips twisted. You always exaggerate. Stop lying. Alara's voice came out sharper than she expected. I'm done pretending. Chloe's mask cracked. You're unbelievable. No, Alara said quietly. I'm just awake. She walked out the front door before either of them could say anything else. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she needed distance before she drowned in everything she'd learned. Outside, the air felt thin. She sat on the steps and let the silence press against her. Her phone vibrated in her hand. Morgan herself. Ilara, please don't freak out. I can explain. Ilara stared at the text until anger burned off the numbness inside her. Explain what? She typed. That you sold my private life for money? A pause. It wasn't like that. Chloe said the reporter already knew things. I just added details. You added messages I trusted you with, Ilara replied. You sent photos from my worst moments. I needed the money, Morgan answered quickly. And Chloe said you wouldn't find out. Ilara almost dropped the phone. The lack of remorse hit harder than the betrayal. We're done, she wrote. Don't contact me again. She blocked the number before Morgan could reply. She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, head in her hands. She felt hollow, tired, lost in a way she hadn't felt since her early 20s, when Jared convinced the world she was the problem and everyone believed him. Her phone rang. Damien again. She let it ring, but the sound cut deeper each time. When she finally answered on the fourth try, her voice cracked. Ilara. His voice softened instantly. Where are you? Outside, she whispered. At the house. I'm coming. Please don't, she said quickly. I need time to think. Damien hesitated. Tell me what happened. Please. Ilara swallowed hard. Everything. Jared used my family. My family took money to push me away. My friends sold my secrets. And now there's debt in my name that I never opened. Damien breathed out slowly, like he was steadying himself. Ilara, let me fix this. Let me help. She shook her head even though he couldn't see it. If you fix it, I'll never know who did what. I won't know the truth. Damien whispered, the truth hurts you. Ilara rested her forehead against her knees. It hurts either way. He was silent for a long moment, then said softly, there's something I didn't tell you. I was trying to protect you, but maybe I should have told you sooner. Ilara stiffened. What is it? Damien sighed. I knew about Jared years before you told me anything. I didn't know who he was to you, but I knew he was dangerous. I knew he'd tried to use someone's name to access Sterling Enterprises. And when we met, I suspected it was you. I wanted to warn you, but I didn't want to intrude on your life without your permission. Ilara felt the world tilt again. Damien, you knew something about him and never said anything. I didn't want to come into your life as another man telling you what to do, Damien said quietly. I was trying to respect your autonomy. But maybe I chose wrong. Ilara's voice trembled. You should have told me. You should have trusted me with the truth. I'm sorry, Damien said. I truly am. Ilara's chest rose and fell unevenly. She didn't doubt his sincerity. She didn't doubt his care. But she suddenly felt the weight of every silence around her, every withheld truth, every decision made without her. I need time, she whispered. Please, Ilara, his voice was pained. Don't shut me out. I'm not, she said softly. I just need to breathe. She hung up before he could respond. Her hands shook afterward. She walked down the street without direction, without clarity. She didn't know what she would say to Damien next. She didn't know who to trust anymore. She barely trusted herself to hold everything together. Her footsteps slowed only when she heard someone call her name. Ilara. She froze. Jared stood at the edge of a parking lot, leaning casually against a street lamp like he had all the time in the world. His smile curled into something cold. He stepped closer. Rough day. She didn't speak. Jared moved with slow, confident strides until he stood inches from her. Your husband is going to be very disappointed soon. Ilara felt her stomach twist. Get away from me. Jared chuckled. Relax. I'm just giving you a heads up. When he learns the truth about you, he'll run so fast your head will spin. There is no truth you can use against me. Not anymore. Oh, sweetheart, Jared murmured. There's always something. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded document. He flicked it open with practiced ease and held it out. You might want to see this before he does. Ilara stared at the paper. Her name. Her address from years ago. Her old signature. A signature she recognized. A signature she had never written. Her breath caught in her throat. "What is this?" she whispered. Jared smiled like he'd been waiting for her to ask. "A transfer authorization. Looks official, doesn't it?" She forced herself to breathe. "Transfer to who?" He held it up so the streetlight lit the page. "To me. From Sterling Enterprises." Alara's stomach dropped. "That's insane. I've never had access to Sterling accounts. I've never even." "That's what makes this fun," Jared said softly. "Damien's board won't care whether you say it's forged. A signature is a signature, and with the right timing, people will believe anything about a woman with your past." Alara's voice caught fire. "Why are you doing this?" Jared stepped closer, smirking. "Because you walked away. Because you think you found someone better than me. And because you forgot who taught you everything you know about love." Alara recoiled. "You didn't teach me love. You taught me survival." Jared laughed once, cold and sharp. "Well, survival is what you'll need now." She clenched her jaw. "Damien won't believe this." Jared tilted his head. "But everyone else will. The public. His investors. His board. You're already trending as an unstable wife with a messy past. This document is the last push. Damien will have to protect himself." Alara shook her head, refusing to let fear swallow her. "He's not like you." "Sweetheart," Jared leaned in, "everyone is like me when their reputation is on the line." Alara stepped back, refusing to let him see her break. "I won't let you win." "Sweetheart," he said, tucking the document back into his jacket, "you already lost. I'm giving Damien a copy tonight." Alara didn't wait. She turned and walked away fast. She could hear Jared calling her name, but she didn't stop. Her breath came quick and tight as she hurried down the quiet street. The lights blurred. The cold cut through her coat. She fumbled for her phone and called Damien. He picked up instantly. "Alara. Where are you?" Her voice shook. "He's trying to frame me. Near Oak Street. Jared showed me a document. He forged my signature. It says I approved a transfer from your company. I've never seen anything like it. He said he's giving a copy to your board." There was a pause, but not a fearful one. It was the sound of Damien thinking fast. "Alara," he said quietly, "listen to me. Go somewhere safe." "I'm coming now." "Damien, I believe you." Those 3 words made her knees weaken. "You don't even know the details." "I don't need them," he said. "You didn't do this." She swallowed, heart aching. "He thinks you'll choose your company over me." Damien's voice grew steady, stronger. "I choose you. Always." She let out a shaky breath, one hand pressed to her temple. "I don't understand why he's doing all this." Damien exhaled. "Because he's desperate. And because he thinks you're the same girl he broke all those years ago." Alara closed her eyes. "I'm not." "I know," Damien said. "And soon everyone else will too." Minutes later, headlights pulled into view. Damien stepped out of the car before it fully stopped. His expression carried none of the hesitation or doubt Jared promised she'd see. He walked straight to her and cupped her face in his hands. "Show me what he gave you." Alara nodded and pulled up a photo she'd taken of the document the moment she walked away from Jared. Damien studied it under the streetlight, his jaw tensed, not in confusion, but recognition. Finally, he said, "I know this." Alara blinked. "What?" "This signature forgery. Jared tried it once before on someone else years ago." Alara's breath caught. "You've seen this?" "I've seen his work," Damien said. "He tried to use your name when he pitched a proposal to Sterling. I didn't know then that it was you. But the handwriting, the formatting, the chain of accounts, everything is the same." Alara felt a shock run through her. "You knew he forged my name before." "I suspected." Damien looked at her softly, "but I didn't have proof. I was waiting for you to be ready to talk about your past. I didn't want to force anything." Alara swallowed, guilt pressing against her ribs. "I thought you were hiding things from me." "I was waiting." He brushed a thumb across her cheek, "not hiding." She leaned into his palm, heart aching. "What do we do now?" "We investigate," he said simply. "We gather evidence. We expose every lie. And we end this." When they reached the house, Chloe and Hannah were at the door, faces tight with worry. Not for Alara, but for themselves. Damien didn't bother with greetings. "Where are the financial papers?" Hannah stammered. What papers? The ones Jared paid you through, Damien said calmly. We know about the deposits. We know about the debts opened in Alara's name. Chloe stepped forward, face flushed. You can't talk to us like that. This is our home. Damien didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. This is the place where Alara was manipulated, silenced, and used. I'll speak how I need to. Alara watched her mother shrink back slightly, not from anger, but guilt. That alone was new. Hannah whispered, Chloe, we can't keep lying. You need to tell the truth, Helen said shakily. He already knows. No, Chloe hissed. He thinks he knows, but he doesn't know everything. Damien took out a folder from inside his coat. Actually, he said, I do. Chloe's voice cracked. What's that? Phone records. Transcripts. Payments from Jared. Calls between you and the reporter. The forged accounts in Alara's name. And recordings of you discussing the signature. Hannah gasped. Recordings? Damien nodded. Your conversations weren't as private as you thought. Chloe's face strained. You can't prove anything. Damien stepped aside, letting Alara see the folder. She froze. At the top was her forged signature. Below it, time-stamped screenshots of Chloe texting Jared about getting rid of Alara for good. Something inside Alara went very still and very clear. Chloe, she said softly, you did this. Chloe shook her head violently. No. Jared told me to send those documents. He planned it, not me. Damien met Alara's eyes. He didn't plan the forgery. She did. Alara felt the truth settle sharp and certain. Chloe wasn't Jared's victim. Chloe wasn't misguided. Chloe wasn't confused. She was the architect. Chloe's lips trembled. I just wanted what you had. Alara stared at her. You wanted Damien. Chloe's breath hitched. Why you? You were always the weak one, the emotional one, the one who needed fixing. You don't deserve someone like him. Alara took a slow breath. So you tried to destroy me. Chloe stepped back. You don't understand. If you were out of the way, he would have seen me. Damien didn't flinch. I never would have. Chloe's face twisted. You don't know that. You would have chosen me. I'm the strong one. I'm the one who does what needs to be done. No, Alara said softly. You're the one who hurts people to feel strong. Hannah burst into tears. Chloe, how could you? Chloe said nothing. Alara didn't feel anger anymore. Just heartbreak and clarity. And yet, the night wasn't over. Before they could say anything else, headlights appeared at the end of the street. A car fast, pulling up to the house. Alara froze. Jared. What happened next would change everything. Jared stepped out of the car with a reckless confidence that didn't match the panic flickering behind his eyes. He slammed the door shut and marched toward the porch, ignoring the way Damien's security team moved subtly into position. He looked only at Alara, as if she were still his to intimidate. Alara, he said, forcing a smile. We need to talk. Alone. Damien stepped forward before Alara could speak. You won't be speaking to her alone. Or ever again. Jared laughed, but it shook at the edges. You think you can control this? You think she'll be clean when the truth comes out? Alara met his eyes calmly. The truth already came out. Yours is coming next. Jared's smile faltered. What do you think you know? Damien opened the folder he held. Everything. He handed Alara a sheet. She looked down. Security footage from the shopping center. Not just the shove. Not just the insults. Footage of Jared cornering her. Footage of him blocking her path. Footage of him grabbing her arm hard enough to make her recoil. Jared's face went pale. That means nothing. Damien pulled another document. Signed statements from witnesses who heard you threaten her. People lie for money. Damien held up a third document. A transcript of your calls to the tabloid. Your voice. Your number. Jared froze. And this, Damien added, pulling out a final paper, is evidence you attempted the same forgery 2 years ago with a different identity. Alara watched Jared's confidence crumble in slow motion. His hands shook, his breathing grew uneven, his eyes darted from Damien to the documents to Alara as if searching for one last weapon. You think you can pin this all on me, he said. She signed that transfer. I have it right. Damien stepped forward with quiet finality. We know she didn't sign it. Alara handed over the forged paper Jared had shown her. Damien placed it beside verified samples Alara's attorney had sent earlier. The differences screamed off the page. Jared stepped back. You can't prove. We already did, Damien said. Your printer. Your timestamps. Your drafts saved on your cloud account. You left a trail a child could follow. Hannah gasped softly. Chloe staggered back against the wall. Jared grabbed at his hair, panic blooming. No. Chloe helped with that. She told me to send those documents. She told me it would ruin Alara. Chloe's denial came instantly. You liar. You were the one who wanted her gone, not me. Jared pointed at her. You said Damien would notice you if she was out of the picture. Chloe's voice cracked. You're twisting everything. Damien watched them unravel with a calm, steady gaze. This ends tonight. Jared turned to Alara, tears of rage building. You did this. You turned them all against me. Alara shook her head slowly. You did that to yourself. Jared took a shaky step toward her, but 3 security guards moved at once, blocking his path. He stopped, chest heaving, face red with fury and humiliation. You think he'll keep you? Jared spat. You think you're safe now? Damien stepped between them. She is safe. You're not. 2 guards stepped forward. Mr. Ashford? Damien nodded. They closed in around Jared. Wait. Jared screamed. This isn't over. She ruined my life. You ruined your own life, Alara said quietly. And you dragged everyone down with you. Jared thrashed uselessly as the guards escorted him to the car. His last words were a broken echo. She was nothing. Nothing. Alara didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She didn't break. She simply watched him disappear into the night as his voice faded into nothing but noise. When the car pulled away, the street felt painfully quiet. Hannah collapsed onto the porch step, face in her hands. Alara, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Alara stood still. You chose to believe him. You chose to hurt me. You chose to take money to stay away from your daughter. Hannah sobbed harder, but Alara didn't move toward her. Not this time. She didn't have forgiveness ready. She didn't even know if forgiveness would ever come. Chloe wiped her face, streaks of mascara on her cheeks. Alara, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I wanted something of my own. I felt like you always had everything. Alara's voice was soft but firm. Chloe, I had nothing. I barely survived, and you still wanted to take the little I had left. Chloe covered her mouth, shaking. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Alara nodded once. You don't. Silence fell, heavy and honest. Damien walked up beside Alara and took her hand gently, grounding her, anchoring her. What do you want to do? He asked. Alara looked at the house, the place filled with memories of wanting love she never received, trying to earn trust that was never given, chasing acceptance that was always out of reach. She let out a slow breath. I'm done here. Hannah choked on a sob. Chloe's shoulders crumpled inward. Alara didn't turn back. I'm choosing myself now, she said quietly. And I can't do that here. She stepped off the porch. Damien walked with her, matching her pace. As they reached the gate, he spoke again. The charges are ready. Fraud. Identity theft. Blackmail. The attorneys will handle everything. Let the truth do what it needs to do. Damien squeezed her hand, pride in his eyes. You did this. Not me. You stood up. You faced them. Alara took a deep, steady breath. I'm not afraid of them anymore. Reporters were already gathering down the street, alerted by the breaking news of Jared's arrest. Cameras flickered. Voices rose. Microphones pointed toward her. Alara didn't shrink the way she once would have. She didn't hide behind Damien. She stepped forward, shoulders squared, chin lifted. Damien stayed beside her, but he didn't overshadow her. He let her stand in her own strength. Alara, did you know about the fraud? Why did Jared target you? How do you feel after the betrayal? Are you afraid more secrets will come out? Alara lifted her voice clearly, not loud, but certain. The truth came out. And that's enough. One last question cut through the chaos. Elara, what have you learned from all of this? She paused. Her answer came from a place deeper than fear, deeper than hurt, deeper than anger. Cruelty is loud, she said. Greedy. Desperate. But self-respect is quiet. Steady. And people who mistake silence for weakness usually learn the truth too late. The reporters went silent for a beat, stunned. Damien looked at her with a warmth she felt down to her bones. The cameras flashed. Elara didn't blink. She didn't hide. She stepped forward into the lights, unafraid, her past unable to touch her anymore. And just like that, she walked into the life she finally chose for herself.